What's up, everybody? Back with some more Scarlet and Violet Wi-Fi battles. We actually used SMEARGLE, and SMEARGLE, we had an entire team of SMEARGLEs we actually put together. If you guys missed the first video with this entire team, I pretty much threw together an entire team of SMEARGLes, and we went on to the casual 1v1, 6v6 in-game ladder to see how many people we can actually get to rage quit, and if we can actually get some wins with this team. So I said I was going to be doing another video with this if that video did really well, and I was going to be improving this team, which I did. It took forever to actually find a decent game just for you guys, because a lot of the games I get with this team are really kind of boring, or either my opponents just end up rage quitting, which is what I want, but like trying to find a game that I actually win in like a really impressive fashion is kind of really difficult with this team, so it took a long time to actually find a game with that as well. So if you guys don't know, I threw together an entire team of SMEARGLes. I updated their movesets. If you guys want to go look at the movesets I had for the first video, I'll leave a link to that at the end of the video. It's currently live on the channel right now. If this video does well, I'll also probably bring you guys maybe a third video with this entire team, if I can find another really good match with it. You guys seem to like these types of videos, these more meme-y type videos with these cool, really cool, like meme-worthy type teams. So, I should have the builds for you guys on screen right now if I didn't already. I did update the builds. This is actually iteration 2 of this team. That's currently the team that you're gonna be seeing in the battle I feature in this video. The main problem with the SMEARGLE team, at least with iteration 1 that you guys see in the first video, is that in-game ladder is only a 20-minute timer, and that team, there was a lot of stuff on that team that was a little bit too stally. I feel like the problem I was having with that team was the damage numbers, and like the damage was not enough to really like get consistent KOs. It was too stally, and it didn't have enough damage potential or ways to do damage or get KOs. That's kind of the one thing I kind of want to improve on. So I'm going to throw all the builds for you guys up on screen right now. I'm not sure if I actually changed this first SMEARGLE. I think I changed the item. The first item was Choice Scarf. I think I changed it to Black Sludge for trick Black Sludge type shit. And I think I changed the ability from Technician to Moody. On the second one, I actually got rid of Ceaseless Edge. I threw Spore onto this build. Spore just helps me put stuff to sleep and gives me another option to kind of slow down the game and be able to do damage that way. And I actually threw Salt Cure, which is another move you guys are going to see on a lot of these SMEARGLes. Salt Cure is a move that is exclusive to Garganical. It's kind of like Whirlpool or Fire Spin, but it actually does more damage to Ice, Steel, and Water types. And it is like a every turn type move, so it racks up damage every single turn. And it has, as long as you're on the field, you're going to be taking damage. It has no like time limit to when it ends. It just keeps on going until either they faint or they switch out. So it's a really good move to actually throw on SMEARGLE, especially if you're looking for like really solid amounts of damage, because it also does really, really consistent damage every single turn. It allows you to build up your Moody boosts over time as well, with them being spored and that type of thing. So you're going to see that on a few of these SMEARGLes. That's what I kind of went with for a few builds to update them. This one I actually got rid of, I think it was Silk Trap. I threw Ceaseless Edge. I moved Ceaseless Edge from one SMEARGLe over to a different one that made a little bit more sense here. That's kind of what I did with this build. Apart from that, it's still the same. This other one, I actually added Attract to this build. I originally had 2 Oko moves on this. I had Guillotine on here. I threw Spore onto this one as well, just mainly so I'm able to put somebody to sleep, get the lock on, and then start going for Sheer Cold. I think the one thing I was finding is that having 2 Oko moves on the same SMEARGLE build was kind of redundant. It was good mainly because if you had an Ice type on the enemy team, you could use Guillotine to get around that, because Sheer Cold does not affect Ice types. But Ice types are also really not that common, is one thing I found as well. So just running Sheer Cold and getting rid of the Guillotine for Spore was really good. And I also got rid of Perish Song. I actually threw Attract on here as well. So if they're the opposite gender of whatever this SMEARGLE is, which I think is either a male or female in game, I'm not sure. If they're the opposite gender, the Attract has a 50% chance to make them not be able to move. Plus, you combine that with Spore, and you're able to just get a lot of free kills with a lock on Sheer Cold. So it makes this overall, this SMEARGLE build a lot more consistent, and I've had more success with this build than I previously did. So it's a huge improvement so far. This one here actually changed a few things. Originally, in the first video, you guys saw this SMEARGLE was actually a baton pass substitute SMEARGLE. That did not really work that well, and it kind of lost me a lot of momentum. It was just way too stalled. It was drawing out games way too much when I did use it. So I changed it to a Salt Core Spear Spore. I can't talk. Salt Cure Spore. Try saying those 2 words in a row. Salt Cure Spore. Attract type build. Pretty much what you do is you put them to sleep, you attract them, and you Salt Cure just for as much damage as possible. And then on the turn you predict them to maybe wake up, you go for Protect. And then on that following turn, hopefully you have 1 or 2 speed boosts from Moody, and you're able to outspeed him. That's kind of what this build is. Very straightforward, just for some consistent damage. And then last but not least, I actually got the Perish Trap one I actually improved on. Originally, I had Block on this build, which actually you could actually use to get around with Ghost types, which is one thing I was finding a lot of Ghost types were able to avoid it and kind of made this set useless. Whirlpool does the same thing. It allows you to not switch out, and it's guaranteed to go at least 3 to 4 turns at the very least, which Perish Song only needs 3 turns. So if you can land Whirlpool, they're guaranteed to be locked in and they are not able to switch out whoever you're going against. And you can just go for Spore, and then I have the U-turn on here. U-turn is one move I'm debating whether to get rid of it on this build, but I think it's still, at least in this video, I still have it. So that's just kind of the entire build. Let's hop into the battle. Also, just keep in mind as well, this battle is actually post-commentated. I was struggling so much to actually find matches that I actually just ended up recording gameplay. And if I happen to find a good match, I was just going to post-comment like I'm going to do now for you guys. So keep that in mind. So let's hop into the match. So my opponent actually leads with the Blaziken. I actually forgot to hit record at the start of this match, but Blaziken's a huge problem for the team, just mainly because speed boost keeps racking up every single turn, and it allows the Blaziken to outspeed me, even with Moody if I happen to get speed boost. So that's kind of the main problem, especially if he sets up Sword Sands and depending on his move pool. Being that he's a fighting type too, he one-shots all of my SMEARGLEs, unless I go for like Terra. With the full, it brings me on the Sash on every single one. So my biggest threat on the opponent's team, one of the biggest threats is the Blaziken, just because it keeps outspeeding me. There's one thing I need to kind of get damage on and get it out of here as fast as possible. So that typing's really bad into me. Like I really struggle with the fighting fire typing, especially with a lot of my Terras. Like I have a Terra Ghost SMEARGLE on this team, but like that only buys me really 1 turn. What I'm trying to do now is just kind of Spore him and then trying to Perish Song him in. At the very least, what I'm trying to get him to do here is to switch out. He's still Spored, so he's just getting a bunch of speed boost though, which is really scary, because if he does actually wake up here, I will lose this SMEARGLE. So the very least, I'm trying to get him to switch out to the point where I actually have opportunity to get my Sticky Web up. And on switching, I'll be able to outspeed him as long as he doesn't protect on me. So, and then maybe at that point in the match, my thought process was maybe I can have a few speed boosts or even like defense boost up at that point. I go for the Whirlpool to try to lock him in here. I didn't know if this was actually going to work though, because his sleep turns are really low. And on either this next turn, he's going to wake up, or the turn afterwards, he's going to end up waking up. And I did not think the Perish Songs actually end up killing him here anyways. Just mainly because I'm already down to my Focus Sash. Getting some decent boost though, not really crazy boost, but I'm getting decent boost. Unfortunately, he actually wakes up here, goes for the Brick Fake, and I actually lose a SMEARGLE, so. At this point though, like he is in here, he's not locked in anymore. How Whirlpool actually works is if you actually faint, Whirlpool no longer takes effect. You have to be alive for it to actually trap your opponent in. So now that my SMEARGLE with the Whirlpool actually died, he is no longer trapped on the field since I went down. So pretty much what I want to do here is I want to try setting up some hazards. There's his team. He has Pecharunt, Terrapagos, Venusaur, I think it was Rabumbi, and there's one other thing on his team. So my opponent has a really threatening team. There's just one thing on his team as well that's just a huge threat to me. He also has Terrapagos and Pecharunt too, which is also a Ghost type, which kind of could dodge some moves. So he actually switches out here because he does not want his Blaziken to faint. It's probably one of his win cons. He predicts the Spore and actually goes out into his Venusaur, which I kind of predicted here. I thought he'd maybe switch out, so that's why I went for Sticky Web. So now having the Sticky Web on his side allows it to where if he goes into Terrapagos or like Picture Run to like anything on his team pretty much. Without a speed boost, if the Blaziken does not protect and get a speed boost, I will speed every single thing on his team. So that's kind of what it was for. I go for the Salt Cure here. He goes for Growth. I don't know why he keeps going for Growth. I thought he was going to go for Sleep Powder. I was prepared to get put to sleep here. And either Sleep Powder or like a Toxic or something. I'm not sure why he keeps going for Growth here. I was not really even sure on what build he was even running at this point in the game. So I was kind of just going to stay in here and see what he was really going to do. The one thing here I can't really do, though, is I can't really put him to sleep. I don't have sleep on this build, so I was just going to try to get my hazards up. I missed the Stone Axe on this turn, which is really, really bad for me. He goes for the Solar Beam, but I'm actually able to eat this pretty well, just mainly because I have a solid amount of defense boost at this point already, so then he also has to charge up, so it kind of buys me another turn to get some stat boost. Try to go for the Stone Axe again. This time I actually landed, so it's pretty good. Especially for the Blaziken switching in, it takes 25% from Stealth Rock. So that's some really solid chip damage on that thing. He also has a Rebumby in the back, which I thought was going to be Focus Sash. So that's why I wanted to throw up the hazards. I live the Solar Beam, and that's even with, I think, a +1 or a +2 growth special attack boost. So at this point, I'm getting to be really bulky with my stat boosts from Moody. So I think by the time he actually wants to kill me with another Solar Beam, I think he's going to be to the point where it's going to be really, really close to where he actually dies before he's able to get another attack off. He goes for another growth, and he gets really, really greedy here for whatever reason, which is actually fine, because I think him going for growth on that turn allowed me to get a kill here, which is really, really good. So I'm getting some really solid stat boosts. I'm getting some defense boosts and some SPDEF boosts and everything I kind of really need here, so I'm looking pretty good. I keep going for Ceaseless Edge just to keep throwing up the spikes on his side. The spikes and the Stealth Rocks for the Blaziken are the main thing, because if it takes 25% from rocks, plus like 3 layers of spikes, it only has like 20% of its health left from the current range it was at, so it makes it really difficult to, or really easy to actually deal with it at that point. So the Venusaur goes down here, so the Smeargle actually picks up the kill on the Venusaur with Salt Cure. So we got 1 kill on his side, which is pretty good at this point in the game. Goes back out into the Blaziken. Now this is the problem I was going to have here. I just wanted to see how much he was actually going to take from Stealth Rocks and Spikes at this point. He takes the damage from the Rocks and the Spikes, which puts him actually around about 50% health. Not really as much as I thought it was going to be. I thought he had a little bit lower health at this point in the game, but he does go for the Protect, get the speed boost. Now, the one thing here, I think this is actually a really crucial turn, because I think with him being at +1 speed on this turn, I would actually need a Moody boost here to get my a defense boost or something actually decent here. So him being at +1 speed, I'm not sure. It was going to be really close to whether he actually outspeeds me here. So at this point, I figured I might as well just let this Smeargle go down. I don't really need it for much more anyways. Kind of just did whatever it really wanted to do. I actually ended up outspeeding him at +1. So that's actually really surprising. I did not expect to actually outspeed him here. So that's kind of why I just clicked Salt here. I thought I was going to be kind of dead, so I let this Smeargle drop. There was just no reason really for me to keep it around anyways, so he's taking some really solid damage. He's getting pretty low at the point. He's at the point now where he can't switch out anymore, which is kind of what I wanted to have happen as well, to where he has hazards on his side and he's not able to switch the Blaziken out. So now it's kind of just comes down to what I really want to go into here. I go into the Smeargle with the Spore as well, pretty much baiting him to break my Sash and bring me down to Sash here. It was pretty much like a no-brainer. I had to go into something that had a Focus Sash to try to deal with this thing, otherwise I kind of just lose the game and I get swept. So I gotta have him break my Sash here, unfortunately, just to get a Spore off, but with the Salt Cure damage and him being spored, he has probably at least guaranteed at least another turn of sleep. So I think the Blaziken does drop here no matter what. So kind of at least my thought process going into this. I just go for the Ceaseless Edge, mainly just to get some damage on him. This is not going to do anything to him at all, but he's not really able to switch at this point in the match either, because if he switches this thing back in, he's dead to Stealth Rocks and Spikes. So this Ceaseless Edge does about 3 to 4 damage, I'm guessing. That's probably how much it did to him, but it puts him in range to where Sulk here is actually a guaranteed KO on him now. So we got 2 kills so far. We're looking pretty good. The matching is pretty damn close. At this point in the game, he has 2 kills on me and I have 2 on him. It's a really, really even game. At this point in the game, I'm also kind of trying to like prepare like what my win con's going to be, which SMEARGLE's going to try to be the one that kind of wraps up the game. Or at least at the very least, if it comes down to a timer, to which one that can actually get the most kills in the fastest amount of time. He goes into the Rabumbi here, which actually gets caught by the sticky web and also gets the spikes and the stealth rock here as well, which is really good. This is another reason why I wanted as many hazards on his side as well, just mainly for the Rabumbi. I knew this thing was going to be focus sash. That's kind of the main reason I wanted that. He just takes me out here. I think I actually got my speed dropped there by one of my moody boosts, so that's kind of, I think, why he outsped me there under the sticky webs. At this point, I'm down to 3 SMEARGLEs left. I figured I might as well go into this one that has trick on it. I didn't think he was going to be able to one-shot me with anything unless he's actually set up on me. So I go for the Spore here to try to hopefully outspeed him with him being affected by sticky web. I think the worst case scenario is if he's like Quiver Dance Rabumbi, but judging by his team, it's probably more of a supportive one or one that has sticky web itself. That's usually what Rabumbi is even on a team for mainly, so he takes forever to decide about this one. It takes sitting here waiting for him to decide. He's really thinking about this one. And my play is kind of straightforward. I click Spore. That's kind of what I do. It comes down if he wants to switch out again, because I think if he switches in again, it depends on his HP stat if he has an odd number of HP, otherwise he dies to hazards. So I've actually outspeed him with the sticky web on his side, being at -1. So I'm able to outspeed him and get the Spore off, which is great. This is actually also the SMEARGLE that actually has the black sludge. So I think on this next turn I wanted to kind of get rid of this black sludge so I have a little bit more longevity. I go for the trick here, expecting to probably pick up like either a leftovers. He doesn't have leftovers, but like probably a sash or something else. And he does have a focus sash, so the sash doesn't really matter though because I have no way to recover health on this SMEARGLE, so I kind of just traded him a bad item to get some damage on him every single turn for a sash that's kind of useless, but better than taking damage every single turn here. At this point, I don't really know what to do. I can flip turn out if I really want to, which is what I kind of do here. Just for some chip damage. I think he has about 2 more turns where he dies to black sludge damage here, so I go to this other new SMEARGLE that I kind of revamped the move pool on for this video, at least for this second iteration of this team. This one actually also has Salt here, so that's kind of what my plan was here. And being that he's still at -1 speed too, my other SMEARGLE outsped him, so this one should be able to easily outspeed him as well. I get the defense boost, which is also really good here. And I'm also attract on this one too, so I'm right here, I'm kind of debating, deciding if I should go for attract or just go for the Salt Cure to get damage. And from that range, the Salt Cure actually just ends up killing him, so we're looking pretty good here. We're 3-3. This game's really, really close. It's going to come down to the wire. It's looking like one of those games that's either going to come down to a timer or it's going to go down to the wire, whichever team really wins here. It's one of those really, really close games. He goes out into the Torkoal, which is one of his other last mons I forgot to mention earlier. It wasn't really that big of a threat. I didn't really think that the Torkoal was going to be that much of a threat, just mainly because it's so slow. I'm able to pretty much guaranteed outspeed it, and I have my hazards up now as well, so it takes a shit ton of damage from the hazards. I also have Spore here, so I wasn't really scared of the Torkoal at all. I knew he was not probably safety goggles, so I guess pretty much my plan to deal with this thing was just go for Spore and then Salt Cure. And then being that this SMEARGLE was actually a female, I could actually go for Attract on this Torkoal as well to kind of secure me a free kill here. So not really scared of the Torkoal that much here. Kind of just going to be more of like a stall game to whether I can put him to sleep and go for the Salt Cure here. Actually also get the attack boost. Could be pretty good. Doesn't really do anything for Salt Cure because I think Salt Cure is actually a special move, but doesn't really do anything, but the main thing is just it's the damage over time. Now right here on this next turn I think I actually go for Attract, so the Attract makes it so that either if he wakes up here, if he gets a really turn wake up on his sleep, that he actually ends up having a chance to get immobilized. He can't do damage to me because this Smeargle I'm currently using actually has leftovers. It is not Focus Sash. So if he actually has a really heavy hitting move like Flamethrower in the Sun or something, it does a lot of damage. So I can't really afford him waking up here on, especially on like an early turn. But I think one more turn plus a Salt here. I think it comes down if he wakes up or if he gets mobilized here. And I can probably get a kill on this Torkoal. I actually just go for the Protect here too, which I forgot I actually have Protect on this one. But I go for the Protect here, expecting him to wake up, hoping he either goes for an attack or gets fully immobilized. And unluckily for him, he actually gets fully immobilized. So that's exactly why I have Attract on this one. That's exactly why. It's kind of really cool. Get a kind of a useless boost here that doesn't really do much for me at all. But on this next turn, I kind of just go for Salt here. It's 100% accurate. You can't miss it. So unless he was Bright Powder, but I don't think that was the case. So I get a kill on the Torkoal here relatively easy. It doesn't really do much to me at all. So his last two Mons, I think he has the Terrapagos, and I think he has Pecharunt in the back. I think that's his last two Mons, so. I had a few other things as well. I still have the Smeargle that has the 1-hit KO moves with Spore as well, which outspeeds his entire team under Sticky Webs. So I had that in the back as well. Was kind of going to be my win con, especially for like the Terrapagos and for the Pecharunt. I wasn't really too scared of this thing, just mainly if it Terra'd on me. That's kind of the main problem. I can just put this thing to sleep and go for Salt Cure and kind of stall it out that way. It's kind of what my process was. And this thing's also a male, so Attract also works on this thing. So that's kind of what my process was here. It's kind of really difficult for him to break through this Smeargle, especially because now under Sticky Web, I outspeed his entire team. So he kind of has to get some really good sleep turns to try to wake up early. And even if he does, then he has to kind of battle through Attract and try to get through that as well, which trying to wake up early plus battling through being immobilized, there's not really that high of a chance to do both. So it's kind of really good in my favor. Go for the Salt Cure here. Just want to start getting the damage on him as fast as possible. At this point in the game, I'm thinking to myself, wow, it looks pretty damn good here. We're doing pretty damn good. Because he only has the Terrapagos and he has the Pecharunt left. And I'm dealing pretty well with the Terrapagos here. He does have the leftovers, which is going to be kind of a problem, just mainly because it's just kind of counteracting the damage I'm doing to him. I think Salt Cure does a tiny bit more than the leftovers actually recover. But it's just going to take a way longer to actually get the kill here. Right here, I actually just end up going for the Attract. Just mainly just because if he wants to try to wake up here, he has to try to battle through the Attract as well. Has some really low odds. He actually does wake up here, which is crazy. And unfortunately for him too, he actually gets immobilized for the second time in a row. So not only on the Torkoal, the one time he wakes up for the first time, he gets immobilized. He also gets immobilized on the Terrapagos. So at this point, I could feel like my opponent was getting really, really mad too. I feel like he was getting really, really pissed. At the same time, I was like, well, I'm getting really close to winning this game. I'm going to keep on it. Right here, I actually get him a speed drop, which kind of sucks. A really unfortunate speed drop. And the timer is also winding down here. We're down to like not much time left. My opponent actually ends up just quitting here. He actually just ends up quitting. So I think the main thing here is he ends up just quitting the game, just mainly because like there really was no reason for him to actually win there. He knew he was going to be put back to sleep again. I think there was no way for him to actually win there. Because the Terrapagos kind of lost the current Smeargle, especially with how many stat boosts I was currently getting. I was at almost pretty much +6 special defense there. And even if he did get an attack off into me, it wouldn't have done nothing. So he kind of figured the Terrapagos there would probably would have dropped. Plus, at the same time, he had Pecharunt in the back. But I also had another Smeargle that actually had one shot. So all I needed to really do with that thing, it gets lowered by Sticky Web, so it gets a -1 speed drop when it comes in. So I'm able to outspeed, go for the Spore, go for the lock-on if he's still asleep. I also have Attract on that Smeargle as well. So I'm able to get pretty much a guaranteed 1-hit KO off on that thing. So I think at that point in the game, he didn't know what my last Smeargle, like the last set of my Smeargles were. But I'm assuming at that point in the game, he figured he just had no chance to win. At the very least, with just the Pecharunt versus the rest of my team. So really solid game. hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys want me to do another video and bring you guys another video with this team, let me know. I don't know if I'm actually going to be improving this team much more. I think it's probably the best it's going to end up getting. I can do a few little other small things that I'm probably going to change yet, but at this point I think the team is kind of the best it's going to end up getting, at least from what I've been playing. So if you guys do want me to do a third video, I'll see how this video does. If this video does well, maybe we'll bring you guys a third video with this team. You guys seem to like it a lot, so apart from that, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in a future video.